Florida State's depth chart is emerging with new players, some unexpected players, and hopefully some players that get the Florida State Seminoles back in the right place.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Today, we're doing a live show regarding Florida State's depth chart. There are a lot of surprises, at least to me. I want the opinions of Seminoles fans. I want thoughts about the depth chart and the depth. That is the good news. I knew they were going to be deeper, but I think it's even deeper than what I anticipated, and I'm not against that by any means. But it's also something that's emerging because of the new schemes, something that's emerging because of all the new coaches and everybody getting to know one another on both sides of the ball. As a reminder, Florida State's probably going to start roughly 10 players on offense that are transfers, whether they transferred in this year or last. That's a lot. So you have to find a way to get everybody on the same page. So the depth chart is a little more fluid at a school like Florida State, but it's fun to discuss. So first off, the thing that I find interesting is that you're looking at a depth chart at quarterback. Tommy's your number one. That's not any news flash. And by the way, I'll get to comments in the chat here in a minute. If you got comments, fire away. I'll be happy to get in there and go for it in a minute. But Tommy's the number one guy, but you got to have backups. Well, it was expected that Brock Glenn would be that backup. He's been out for a bit. Kevin Sperry, the true freshman who did enroll in the spring semester, is the number two guy. So I'm going to pose a couple of questions right out the gate. Number one, what does Florida State do if Tommy is out for any length of time? I don't care if it's a play, a series, etc. Would Kevin Sperry be truly able to not just run the offense, but for it to be pretty impressive? Throwing the football, being on time, understanding scheme, like quarterback is incredibly difficult. How would they operate? The running back room is really good. The offensive line, by all the accounts from fall camp, what nuggets have come out of practice, because they're not really letting the media in, sounds like they're pretty good at run blocking. Chroma, Davis, Rodell, they've got a bunch of guys at running back. But the key, the real key, is whether or not Sperry can do things after the snap and players start moving. I thought this guy was going there. I thought they were going to be in zone on both sides of the field. There's man on half the field, blah, blah, blah. Could he handle that stuff? Remember now, Tommy's a running quarterback. At some point, he's probably going to get dinged up. So if we're at a point, again, where Brock Glenn, like, he's been out a little longer than I thought. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm wondering if his injury is a little more severe than originally thought, or if they were just trying to hide it because of the Bama game being first. I don't know. But he's been out for a little while, and Sperry's been the guy at number two. To me, that means there's, at the very least, belief that he can do it. You've got another couple of practices before it really matters. But at this point, could you even play Brock Glenn as the number two? Like, he's a very experienced guy as a backup now. This is his third year on campus. He got starts last year. That's all great. But if, like, Tommy went out of the, let's say, in the first quarter for a play or two because he got dinged on the sideline on, a run or something, how many reps has Brock Glenn had since spring ball? Like, did he even get any ones? Any reps with the ones in fall camp before he got dinged? I'm not sure how they did. Like, the first couple of practices really don't matter much anyway. It's just because you're not in pads. But how much did he have? Florida State really needs Tommy. Really, really, really needs him to stay in the lineup for the first few games, just to give Brock a chance to compete with Sperry. And if he's going at it and Sperry beats him out, so be it. But I want to see it be earned because the other guys in the lineup trading reps with you and you're just better. I'm old school. I want to see the baseline met. We don't know, and that's okay. But I also think that Florida State knows that there's nothing else they can do. If Brock is out, you got to play the next guy. You're probably going to have to adjust the depth chart. It's shocking that they're in this spot, but Florida State football has been all over the map with quarterback recruiting the last several years. I think Sperry will eventually be the quarterback behind center, be your number one guy in 2 or 3 years, but don't want him. I really don't want him to be the quarterback right away. And I'm sure that most Florida State fans understand that. Nothing against the young Mr. Gavin Sperry, but it is hard to play quarterback at this level. I'd imagine they would use a lot of RPO, a lot of play action, short passes, shovel passes, and just run the football. That's my take on that. Second thing I want to talk about is the running back depth chart. I've been shocked about it because I knew there would be a lot of players in contention, for lack of a better word, and I haven't heard anybody say that there's a definitive list and then not change it. They're rotating a lot of guys in fall camp, which is probably smart. They're deep. You got Keziah Holmes and Cam Davis and all these guys coming off the bench. Sam Singleton. I don't know what the depth chart is. Jalen Lucas is a unique player, probably for me, more of a slot, and I think he's going to be dynamic. I've heard he did pretty well in the Jacksonville practices, for whatever that's worth. But who's your number one on 1st and 10 when you want to go downhill? Is it still Rodell? Possibly. Is it Chroma? I don't know what the answer truly is. And to that point, is there a scenario where Florida State is going to be rotating a lot of guys? Or is it going to be just a couple of guys and then that's about it? I know that Gus is familiar with Rodell because he recruited him out of high school when he was at Auburn. Maybe it's a scenario where that's the starting point and then it's just the hot hand. But for there not to be more information to come out is shocking to me. Again, I just thought by now we would know more. It doesn't mean that I'm getting all the information by any means, but Rodell, I expect to be in the thick of it. Cam in some capacity, maybe it's a short yardage back or something. He's a powerful guy. And I also just think that based on everything that Gus has said, Chroma's in the mix. But how do you get everybody touches and keep them lathered up? That is a very difficult task for all the right reasons, to be clear. They have a lot of talent at running back. Nothing wrong with that. My only final question about running back, how much will they use 2 running back sets? Meaning you've got your quarterback in the shotgun, preferably Tommy, and on each side of him, you've got a running back. Crossbuck, doing different things with screens, dive to one guy, speed optioned with the other. There's a million things you can do with it within Gus's offense. I could see Jalen Lucas as a part of that. Sam Singleton, like he can fly. Those are kinds of things you can do. I'm curious how much they're going to use it. And you could also fake the one guy, throw a pass, and go millions of things they can do with that. And they've got enough running backs to rotate them like that. So let's have some fun with that at some point. I'm sure that'll be fun. When we come back, I want to talk about the cornerback depth chart. Even though I know the kid, I didn't know he was going to be that guy. I guess he's really taken a step up. That is next here on Locked on Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Gametime. It's a lot of fun. It's an easy app to use. And we've all been there. Whenever you're logging on and you're trying to get tickets for your favorite concert, maybe your comedy show, whatever it is, but you lose your chance to get it and you were dying to go. Maybe it's your favorite comedian. Maybe it's your favorite live music opportunity. But that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as you get closer to showtime, and you can get tickets at up to 60% off with last-minute deals. And best part about Gametime, I've said this many times here on Locked on Seminoles, it's the seat view feature. On the app, you click on a seat, and you can see where that seat is in the venue, to the stage or to the pitcher's mound or whatever it may be, and you know what the value is for that seat based on that view right from your phone. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked on Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in. Please like and subscribe, comment down below, share this podcast. And if you're on Apple, go ahead and hit that automatic download for me. I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about the cornerback room. And I'll give you a backstory on this. Jabril Rawls redshirt sophomore out of the Pensacola area, is trending. By all accounts, he is trending to be the number 2 corner. Jeremiah Wilson's the other one. I saw Rawls as he was getting ready to go into his junior year of high school, I believe it was, at a workout. A buddy of mine had some players in the Pensacola area. We ran different drills. He was playing receiver, DB, etc., and he had just incredible length. And I'm like, who is this kid? And he's like, that's Jabril Rawls. I'm like, man, that guy can really run. He's athletic. I love the frame. Remember, I gave him a pair of gloves that night. He was the best guy there at making clutch catches, one-handed catches and stuff. I gave him a pair of gloves I'd bought at a tournament that were pretty cool. And I knew he'd eventually be a good player at Florida State once he got there. But after this past season, I really didn't know where he stood on the depth chart. But again, super length, great hands, and just one of those guys that just loves football. Like Rawls could play offense, 100%. He could absolutely play it. I've seen it with my own eyes. But now he's trending in a new scheme of defense, playing some zone. With his length and his athleticism, I think him playing zone is really intriguing. I'm curious to see if Rawls can get several picks this year. I think teams will throw his way more. He'll get more action than Wilson because Wilson's the more known commodity, and that's fine. I'm curious to see if he can be that guy, but that's a great situation. Also, Kai Bates, he's another guy that's trended a little bit. He's the redshirt freshman or sophomore. I can't remember if he played enough last year to be redshirted or not. He's been up the ladder at the cornerback position. That's a physical kid. He's over 200 pounds. He could be your strong safety, your nickel, your corner, whatever. Great kid too. Excellent student. That's a good situation to be in because if you have DB play, like Florida State should have DBs. It's not a newsflash. If you have DB play like FSU's trending to have this year, you can flip your record way more than I originally thought. Even if your offense isn't great, because you can flip the field with interceptions and big plays. Rawls, Jeremiah Wilson, Kai Bates. You've got Quindarius Jones. That's another guy that's doing well. They've got depth at corner. They've got length at corner. They've got experience at corner with some younger guys coming as well. I love where Florida State's at the corner position. But it still may not be as surprising as what's going on with safety. By all accounts, and I thought he was going to be the main guy, Shaheem Brown's not going to start. He's not going to start. Why? I don't really know the whole story behind it, but the two things that I will say is each year is different, so you got to earn it, and the scheme, again, is totally different. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but just knowing that Brown is allegedly not the guy is really interesting to me. Ashram Baker is making some moves. We've talked a lot about Earl Little. He's probably going to be the nickel. That's kind of a safety spot. Edwin Joseph. It's pretty interesting. I don't know which one he's going to play with Joseph. Is he going to be the free, the strong? I like Joseph closer to the line of scrimmage. They might use him a little bit differently. Hussey is a guy that's gotten some run. He's played quite a bit. But there's just a bunch of different guys. I'm not sure who's lining up where. And I'm also just really surprised that Brown isn't one of the main guys. I don't know how that's going to go, and I don't know why. But at the same time, if you're going to be Florida State running a new scheme, you have to do it really smart. You can't be in a situation where you just hand somebody an opportunity. And Brown led them in tackles last year as far as guys that are coming back. So for him now to start again, that's shocking. But I don't know what else you do if you're white. If you're trying to set a tone, you've got to have guys that are ready to play, that have earned it in practice, and maybe somebody else ends up being just better than him. If it's KJ Kirkland, if it's Hussey, whichever guy, that's fine. But I'm just still really surprised by it. I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple of predictions real quick on DB, by the way. Rawls will lead them in interceptions because he'll get the most passes his direction. And in terms of tackles for loss, I just like him in the box, and there are other ways you can look at this. But Florida State has enough DBs that it's really hard for me to imagine that Florida State doesn't see Edwin Joseph as a blitzer, etc. If it's not, Little could, but I think Edwin Joseph, the guy, just really aggressive physical player, he'll be the guy that leads them for tackles for loss in the secondary. That's my guess. I think he'll get a lot of run. I don't know if it'll be nickel, free safety, or a combination, but he'll play a lot. Now, before we go to the second break, I want to jump in the chat here just for a few moments. We got some comments to get to. And hello to everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. Please hit that like and subscribe if you're just joining the show. I don't know. This is a good question. This push square, is Hussey starting? I don't know. That's one of the guys that I'm very curious about because he's got a ton of speed. He could play corner. He could play safety. He could play nickel. Hussey's another guy that I know from his high school days. Got to know him and several of the players down there at St. Thomas Aquinas. I don't know if he's going to start. I still think it's up in the air, but he's going to get major playing time. The depth chart at safety is fluid, as they say. Rock and roll. So would you say Sperry is definitely not going to redshirt now? And keep up the great work, and looking forward to you come on my show sometime soon. As for, I might come on your show. That'd be great. As for redshirting, I don't know. That it's always hard with backup quarterbacks because you just don't know how much. Like he might start 2 games and redshirt. Because remember, the rule in college football now is you play 4 times, 4 different games, and you could still redshirt. Hell, he could start 4 games and redshirt. It's a goofy rule, but it's to try to get kids at least a little bit of playing time before they got to really get thrown into the fire the next year. It's a good rule overall, but there are some oddities to it. As for my projection, I don't think he will redshirt because I think they will try to get him ready. Any of the blowout games, they're going to play him. There's a couple of those early in the year. He's got to play. Secondarily, I think Tommy will get banged up at least a couple of times this year. He's going to run, and he's going to do things they tell him not to. That's just Tommy. Like, he's stubborn. He's going to play like a running back more than a quarterback when he's going to the sideline. Eventually, he's going to get dinged on one of them. Sperry will be in the game at least one more time for that. So you'd only need a couple more times for him to enter the game, and he's beyond 4. So my guess is Kevin Sperry will not redshirt, but I hope I'm wrong. It would be best if he could stay to 4 and be that guy. Like graduate students at quarterback are always desired. Next up, Southern Man. The defense will carry the team the first part of the season. I predict the defense will be stellar out of the gate. I think the defense will be pretty good. My biggest concern, and I'm going to say this all the way through the prediction for the Bama game, etc., offense, defense, special teams is very simple. And I don't think this is fixable. You have new players on both sides of the ball, a ton of them. You have new coaches on both sides of the ball, a ton of them, including coordinators on both sides of the ball. You're going to have a lot of mental errors. Random, out of the blue mental errors. I hope it's not on the back end because then an average quarterback can get an 80-yard touchdown. That is my biggest concern by a million miles in this game against Bama to open the season. I don't want to play Bama game 1 because of the new schemes. The difference between playing them game 1 and game 2 is like the distance between planet Earth and Mars. It is what it is. So we'll see how that goes. Irv Wallace. I heard Thomas has another year of eligibility after this year. Is that true? I don't think so, but it depends on how it gets challenged. Like one year he played like 5 games or whatever. I don't know for sure. I haven't looked into it. Irv, it's a great question, but we'll see what happens with that sooner than later because, look, Florida State, just like any other school in college football, they're going to look for veterans at key spots, O-line, wide receiver, tight end, like spots that are very critical to your run game, to your chemistry. You always want them. And if you can get another year out of it, that'd be great. To my knowledge, the answer is no. But the way the NCAA grants things, I wouldn't rule it out. We're talking about the NCAA. Do you really trust the NCAA? I know I do not. Push square. Who's going to be that dog at wide receiver this year? Boggs. Let's talk about that in conjunction. Great question. Boggs has the ability, and speaking about this is one of my topics here, talking about wide receiver, it was the 6th thing on my list, so I'll just go ahead and bring it up now. I don't know how that's going to go. Squirrel White had really good plays from all things that I heard and read about, and it's kind of a good sign because he's been banged up a little bit here and there. He's healthy right now in Jacksonville. He took that step forward. We knew he'd eventually play a lot, but it's good to hear that he's a guy. We know Deuce is going to be the boundary guy, the big-bodied receiver. Squirrel being in the other, you've got two veterans outside. My question is, who's going to be the clutch player? You use the word dog, I use clutch, same deal. They need that for Tommy because he's not super accurate on some of the throws underneath, etc. He's not. If they get those kinds of plays, though, that those wow plays, that middle of the field and deep, you could make up for a lot of ills. Tommy may be only hitting 60% this year, but I'm telling you, he has a gun. He's going to be able to push the ball down the field. He's going to be able to hit the out. He's going to be able to hit the 8, the 9, 7, all those passes down the field, those deeper routes, he could hit them. But then he might miss a 5-yard hitch too. He's going to be inconsistent. Veteran wide receivers like Squirrel, like Deuce, having Landon Thomas, having Pittman, who's going to be probably, to me, the X factor in the wide receiver group. He's a tight end fullback, but he's a unique player. Not many DBs can really cover. He's too big. He's 230-ish, give or take. And he's got the moves and athleticism to give a strong safety a problem, let alone a linebacker. He could be their biggest mismatch beyond Jalen Lucas. So there's a lot of different people. I don't know if they'll have just one guy, but they will spread it around. And remember, Gus's offense runs power football on the inside, runs a lot of screens and reverses, and takes shots. They're not going to really throw to the middle of the field a ton, which good. That's not Tommy's strength. And more importantly, they're going to get the ball to the perimeter with the ball in the hands of a guy that's got the athleticism to either make the first guy miss or run somebody over. Quick little pass to the flat. He's got a head of steam. Can you tackle him one-on-one? That is what they do. Now, before we go to my quick second break here, one more thing about the passing game. It's still going to be predicated on that run. We've heard good things about the offensive line with running the football. If that's the case, and I've heard that they're better at running the pass protection, that's not exactly shocking. If that is true, they should be able to hit some play action shots down the field. Deuce Robinson ought to make a living. And if he doesn't average 15 or more yards per catch this year, I'd be a little disappointed. I think Deuce will be in a lot of jump ball situations down the field. The only way I think that he's under 15 is if they use him a lot in the red zone. Obviously, there's not as much chance for big yardage plays down there because you're restricted. But that's something that's very important. Very important. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the surprises for me on the depth chart. All right. The biggest surprise for me is Jaden Jones in terms of the depth chart. Like, I don't think there's any doubt that a lot of people were probably surprised about him. He's a good player. He's a guy that a lot of people don't know much about. He was a junior college recruit a couple of years ago, but he was buried on the depth chart in 23. Obviously, nobody's – were they – yeah, you could probably say Florida State's – no defensive team was better than Florida State at defensive end in 23. You could say some others were right there with it, but yeah, no defensive team was better at the end. So he picked the wrong year to go to Florida State in a sense, I guess. Doesn't play much, gets hurt last year. He's a fifth-year senior now, and all of a sudden, Jaden Jones is making plays, getting reps with the ones. James Williams has been nicked up a little bit. That's not the greatest injury news, but Jaden's another guy that can help step up, and Jason Jenkins is also back getting a lot of reps. Florida State is in a position now where they can actually rotate a bunch of defensive ends. What an incredible situation. Last year, Florida State at DN, we thought they were going to be good, but it's a little more star power. And they just weren't as good as we anticipated. They weren't. Having Jaden Jones, and again, great story, junior college player, stuck it out, overcomes injury, overcomes the depth chart. Love it. He's 6'4", 6'5", 250-plus pounds. That's a good player to have in your rotation, even if he's not starting. Love the stick-to-itiveness. He could have left. He could have went to some smaller school. He could have went somewhere like Tulane or Southern Miss and played. He stuck with Florida State. I love these stories. This is why college football is great. I love guys like Jaden Jones, and he's probably the guy that I'm going to be rooting for as much, if not more, than any other Florida State player this year because of that. Congrats to Jaden. That's really awesome. As for the competition, at linebacker. This is the other one that I'm just going to, before anybody asks, and I'll get back to the chat in a second, I have no idea. I have seen more scuttlebutt about who's going to play and where at linebacker than any other position, offense or defense, for Florida State. Is that good? Is that bad? I guess it just depends on your perspective. The one player that I feel the best about saying he's likely to start is Elijah Herring. He was at Tennessee, then he was at Memphis, now he's at FSU. Athletic, strong, obviously a veteran. He's a tackling machine, though. He's a stat builder. He's a guy that if he had 85 tackles this year, wouldn't be surprised. If he had more than that, wouldn't be surprised. He's very good at his job in the box. Is it Mike? Is it Will? I get all that with Tony's defense being new and trying to assimilate a depth chart with players that play well together. I don't know who plays next to one another, and that's what fall camp is for. So that's cool. My only concern is they've got a whole bunch of guys that are just pretty good that are number twos instead of having at least two number ones. You need two definitive starters, and I have no idea. So linebacker is the one that, to me, I thought we'd find out more. Maybe it's just because they're really keeping it close to the vest at FSU, and that's fine too. But I don't know much about linebacker. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm sure somebody's asked this in the chat, and I'll answer it the best I can when somebody brings it up. The position I'm most concerned about now that I've heard a lot of different things going through fall camp, and there's been reports from numerous outlets, I haven't heard diddly about anybody in the backups for the offensive line taking a massive step forward. I've heard a lot of guys got a chance. They're getting better. But I need to definitively hear, hey, if an offensive tackle goes down, we're good. I have not heard that. Florida State is at least one more year in the weeds, in my opinion, next year with being iffy on offensive line, because they're going to take some more transfers this year because we need to see that. And I've talked about that leading in June and July. I talked about it some. Hey, we need to hear that the offensive line, these high school kids are starting to get it, but they're all freshmen, redshirt freshmen, etc. We're at least next season, some of them will play. And then in 2027, I think Florida State football will be Florida State football again. This year, next year, what you get could be a little hodgepodge. But the offensive line is where that starts for every team, not just FSU. They don't have that backup that I'm confident with at either tackle spot. Maybe it's just because I haven't heard anything. But how often do you go an entire season with all five of your offensive line playing every rep? Especially after the last 2 years, Florida State's due because they have been at the lower end, being kind, of the injury front. They have been very, very much snake bitten on offensive line injuries. They're due, by the way. But I need to hear really good news. Not, he could probably play. I need to hear definitively from Coach Hand that they have at least one offensive tackle that could come in and they wouldn't be worried. That would make me feel a lot better. So we'll see if that ends up happening or not. Now, let's talk about one more situation, then I'll get back into the chat. Florida State has had its ups and downs. Offense wins some, defense wins some. But I think the fall camp has been a little better overall than I thought, because usually defenses dominate. Coach White's really good. He brought some really good coaches with him, pot roast. All that, like their staff on defense, I'm very confident in. I am very glad that we've heard more offense in fall camp than I anticipated. One, because it's just more fun to cover an offensive team that's good. It's good for y'all that, after last year, you deserve to see better football. But secondarily, it takes a lot of pressure off the defense as you get into the season. You can't just win 17-14, 15-13, and stuff like that. Today's college football world, your offense is not consistently scoring in the upper 20s to low 30s against P4 competition, you've got a problem. You've got a big problem. Florida State is trending in the right direction. I understand that the concern with Tommy getting banged up is there. I understand the concern with the offensive line, at least for me. It's a little iffy. But the offense has done better this fall camp than anticipated. Running back room's deep. You got some talented tight ends. By the way, Amari Williams has been playing basically exclusively at tight end from the rumors. I don't know what's going on with Landon Thomas. I haven't heard anything. Somebody knows, drop it in the chat and I'll make a comment. Now I'm going to go ahead and get back into the chat and just kind of go through the comments overall. Let's see. CTdub, sold out opener. If it's not sold out, I would be shocked. Let me be very clear about something here. This probably won't make a lot of FSU fans happy, but I can assure you this is going to happen. There are going to be a ton of Alabama fans in that stadium because they don't care what they pay for tickets. There's going to be a ton of Alabama fans. So just be ready for that. And I expect it to be sold out. Absolutely. Jay Craig, Kevin Sperry is going to be pretty good. I think so too. Even though you've got a backup quarterback situation that's goofy because your probable number 2 has been hurt for quite a bit of fall camp, we would have heard something in the media. I can assure you. If just hypothetically, if Sperry would have been terrible, we'd have heard about it. If Sperry would have been really bad, we would have heard several situations about, oh, they're going to have to use Wildcat or this. If Tommy goes out, we haven't heard that. He can't be terrible. Something about that would get, because quarterback info is what, if you've got a contact on any, I don't care if it's NFL, college, high school, one of the very first things you're going to ask is quarterback. I talked to a high school coach the other day, talking about their running back situation wasn't very good, but we were talking about quarterback within 20 seconds into the conversation. That's just how it works. If you're not good at quarterback, you're pretty well in a tough hole. So again, I'd imagine he's going to be pretty decent for a freshman if he has to play. Mr. Trevin Howell, Deuce Robinson, talking about the receivers being that guy. I hope that he can be. And what I mean by that is this. If Deuce is that player that can just make the wow plays, catch 5 balls a game, we'll be good. He's going to garner a lot of attention from the DBs. Safety shading to his side, linebackers shading out further on his side, like little things like that. He's going to have to be precise with his routes and just not drop passes. All the little technical things, the boring stuff to talk about that I won't put you all through, that's what he's got to do. He's the big-bodied receiver that you're not going to put a corner in front of for 50-plus plays and go, oh, you're just going to cover this guy. There aren't any 6'5" corners. So he's going to see double teams, and he's going to see some goofy coverages. They're going to show man, drop in the zone, all that stuff. I think Deuce and Tommy have got to be on the same page from game one, obviously, with it being Bama. And he needs to have over 50 catches this year. I think because of the coverages and all the things he'll see, getting past 60, 65 would be hard. But it's the big plays, the jump balls, the red zone, the third downs. And again, he's a deep ball threat. He has incredible ball skills. I've seen it live. That is an athletic, freaky guy. No reason that Deuce Robinson can't have a big season. William McMillion. I pray that Sperry wins the backup quarterback position. I think it would be good and it would be a sign. When you say win, for me, that means he's earned it. Full disclosure, again, I got it on my sheet. Brock Glenn, like question mark. Is he healthy? When's he playing? We don't know. Is it precautionary wise out? Is it, did he re-injure it? All the answers are, I don't know. Right now, you have no choice. Sperry's your next guy. Sperry's your next guy. If he's not ready, you're just in a terrible spot because you always have to assume the worst, and then your starting quarterback will eventually get banged up. That's just the way college football is. We don't know. Let's see here. Oh, there's Mike. What's up, Mr. Mike? Go Noles, Mike, go nuts. Mike also says this secondary will cause chaos. I think it will cause quite a bit of problems. They got a lot of length. They've got a lot of experience. They got a lot of competition, and they've got 2 really good DB coaches. They pick up the scheme. This could be, here's an interesting prediction I'll make now. They were awful at making the clutch catch as a secondary. Like they dropped some interceptions, missed some others they should have had. They will have the biggest rise out of Power 4 teams this year. This is my prediction from a really low interception total, like 3 or 4 last year. It was pathetic. They'll get about 12 picks this year, which is a team like Florida State should. But at the same time, and this part of college football, It'll probably come in spurts. Those 2 games right after Alabama, if they don't have 3 or 4 picks between those two, I mean, they play 2 bad teams. If they don't have 3 or 4 picks in combination of those 2 games, I'll be worried. I don't know if Ty Simpson will throw them any fair catches, like just a terrible pass here or there. But when those plays happen, and this is one of my pet peeves, you know this if you've listened to the Seminole show long enough, I have 2 pet peeves. Don't hit the quarterback close to the sideline. They're going to throw the flag. And don't drop interceptions. Those are my 2 big pet peeves. They drive me nuts. You know, refs protect the quarterback, let him go. And if you've got a freebie, by God, catch the football. Drives me bananas. Let's see. Larry Zimmerman. Bring back Bobby. Avatar might work. Let's see. Ashwin Barker. The Daily Chop Podcast. Barker, 706 kid. Ashwin Barker might be a guy that ends up starting. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He's already played significant minutes for Florida State. Why not? Luke, let's see. Which DB, regardless of year, has the best chance to be a high first-round pick? Ooh, that's a great question. Ooh. I would say Kai Bates, because of his size, would be up there, and he's a very smart kid. I know him pretty well. Kai's the kind of guy that's going to interview well with the NFL draft. Like, he's like a 4.0 kid. He's from Orlando, played at Edgewater, so he's used to competition. He's a little nutso. Like, he cut part of his finger off or whatever. I can't remember what it was. He broke it in a game, like went back in. Like, he's one of those crazy guys. Loves the sport. Very physical. Like, you could play him at free safety if you wanted. He's over 200 pounds. He's the entire package that way. He's just got to keep earning his way through. I don't know if he'll start next season or not, but he might. Jeremiah Wilson's just going to be there 1 year. Bates is a redshirt freshman. Him and Charles Lester will probably battle for that spot next year. If it's not him, it could be Lester. He's really gifted too. After that, I don't know. Maybe it's Rawls because he's making a move this year too. It's hard to say. Nickels don't normally go super high, but I tell you what, they're very high on Earl Little Jr. That's the wild card. I don't know how that would work. Somebody'd have to look that up. What's the scenario for a guy that plays primarily nickel, like his last year in college, and goes to the draft? Do they have much of a chance to go high? Because I think nickel's super valuable. But that doesn't mean that the NFL scouts and the GMs look at it the same. I'm not sure on that one. It's a pretty interesting topic, though, but Florida State's got some serious DB talent. Marlo Lewis. Chroma is going to be elite. I think he will too. I just don't know if he'll be elite year 1. Let me define elite for you by my definition of running back. Chroma can run the ball and he can catch. Like, he has phenomenal hands. He can play wide receiver at Florida State, 100%. Knowing the offense, knowing all the footwork on play action fakes to help your receivers, understanding the footwork when you're not getting the ball, and then like on a fake, and then you go block. All that little stuff to get Tommy more time to pass the football. That's the difference between being good and being elite. All the little things. Most guys just don't have enough time in fall camp to work on that stuff. And when he played at Lee County, Chroma was the guy. Like, they, for 3 years, sophomore year, junior year, senior, he was the guy. They got him the ball a ton. I'm not sure how good he's going to block and carry out fakes and do the technical aspects of that. With the ball in his hands, I'm good. Running routes, he's pretty good. Like, he could catch the ball over his shoulder comfortably. Very unusual for a running back and good for him. That'll be good for his long-term NFL career. But Chroma is a kid that I'm concerned about the consistency, especially with pass protection. That is generally the biggest concern with a freshman running back. Mike, I don't trust the NCAA. Yeah, me neither, brother. I don't trust them at all. Luke, what are the chances Deuce goes for 1,000 yards? I would say pretty low. They're going to throw it to a lot of people. And they've got Jalen Lucas, like he's a quasi receiver. They're going to throw him the ball quite a bit. Squirrel will probably get 50 catches. You got a freaky tight end, traditional one, in Landon Thomas. By the way, I hope he's healthy and soon. And you got Pittman. Before we even get into talking about the freshmen and redshirt freshmen and stuff, well, Wayne McCoy, Elijah Moore, Fryer, and just a bunch of guys, BJ Gibson. I have no idea how the rotation will work out after the first couple games. We'll probably know after that first directional game, if you will, the one after Bama, because younger players will get in the lineup. You'll see who's comfortable. But I'm guessing they'd like to be between 5 and 6 receivers. They play a ton. McCoy, Moore, definitely, like, again, I think Jalen Lucas is as much a part of the receiver group as any. He counts kind of like a half. Obviously, Deuce and Squirrel. Boggs, that's 5. There'll be like one other guy. I just think they'll rotate a lot. And then you have Pittman and Thomas that they are likely to throw the ball to quite a bit. And Amari's playing quite a bit of tight end now, too. I don't know if anybody will be over 700. It's just going to be by committee, and that's okay. Florida State, like anybody else, it's not who catches the ball, it's that your team's catching the ball. Last year, Florida State was so bad in the passing game, I can't even explain it. I'm just hoping they throw for over 2,500 yards. With the running game, I anticipate they'll run for 205, 210 a game. If they can throw for 220 a game, just be consistent, and have a good 4-minute offense in the second half where they can eat up clock, rest their defense, and then throw when they want to throw, it'll take care of itself. Will Berger, Brown not starting is a sign that the defense will be put together and elite. I kind of lean that way too, brother. And here's why. I give respect to coaches that allow the system to play itself out, that allow the players to determine the depth chart, and also to figure out who plays well with other players. Meaning, nickel package, your best linebacker may not be in the game. Like a true nickel, meaning 3rd and 15. Like, you're pretty much a nickel from down 1 right now. But your dime package, etc. If Elijah Herring's not in the game, he's not in the game. And if that guy is Nicholson, if that guy, it's Cryer, whatever, and I'm just using linebacker as an example, whatever it is, that'll take care of itself. They're allowing the players to figure it out. I'm cool. They could certainly do it a lot worse than that. The defensive coaches are high quality. I can see a huge step up in the player with the players. I expect to see far fewer mental errors, especially by probably the Miami game once we get to October, just getting used to the system. Logically, that makes sense, right? I mean, how would it not? You have to be in a scenario, if you're Florida State, where you trust your coaches to put guys in a position to make plays. But even more importantly than that, this is very, very key, they just know what they're doing. Florida State hired really good coaches, and they kept Surtain. I mean, that's a great starting point. You got Coach Pap, it's been around a long time. I don't think they're in a bad spot here. This is one of the better defensive staffs, not only in the ACC, but in Power 4 football. James Voss. What time was the scrimmage today? Anybody? I'm not sure what time it was actually, but I mean, it wasn't open to the media. I'm pretty sure that I think Norvell got a press conference going on now or whatever. I'll check it out and I'll probably talk about it either sometime in the afternoon on Monday or on Tuesday morning. It'll be up, one or the other, but I'm curious about him giving any hints about the depth chart, but I doubt we're going to get much. Will Berger, this Florida State-Bama game will be a rewind of us versus LSU 2 years ago. Find a rhythm and momentum takes the game. William McMillion, what time was the scrimmage? I'm not sure. I think it was early evening. Norvell was going to be talking to the media. Jalen Lucas was an All-American return specialist at Indiana and also Big Ten return specialist of the year. I hope they have him returning kicks. He is dynamic. No doubt about it. Kevin Eve was the one who said that. Will Berger. The game being at 3:30 here in Florida, one team breaks. The heat could be a problem. You know how even kids from Florida, Alabama, Georgia, like, if you're not hydrated right, you're going to see some cramping. You're going to see some guys screaming on the field. I know what cramps feel like. They're horrible. If you're not ready for the Tallahassee humidity, man, that's not a good time. But looking at it just from the game perspective, if your number one DB for whoever it is for Bama has to miss a couple of reps because of cramps, that's one less play. Deuce Robinson's going against the number one. That's a problem. So little things like that are important. So, Will, thank you for bringing that up. Brian Sullivan, a lot of rain here in Tallahassee. Humidity be 110%. Yeah, it's late August in Tallahassee is not a good time in terms of weather. There's no doubt. James Voss. It is sold out. Talking about the game. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that either. Florida State, Alabama game, it should be sold out. William McMillion. I hope they put in some packages for quarterback Jalen King. They could. I don't know what it would be because Tommy's such a good runner. Maybe they put him in the game at the same time. There's a lot of possibilities. You never know with Gus. Isaac Montanez. You think our D-line will be top 25? Oh, 100%. 100%. If it's not, something went terribly wrong. Florida State should have a top defensive line. I mean, you've got an NFL nose guard. You got James Williams, who's a freaky guy at 260 off the edge. You've got Jason Jenkins, who's even bigger than James, who can play it, according to Tony. You've got really talented players as backups like KJ Sampson and stuff like this competing. May start, may not. But you just have so many guys. Cray and all that. Like, I'm not worried about, let me look at their depth chart real quick. Like, who would I? Daniel Lyons, Kevin Wynn, Diggs, Jaden Jones. Like, how would they not be pretty good? Like, how would you not be top 25? I'd be surprised. I'd be very, very surprised. Mike Merrick. I'm really excited to see this offense. I am too. I just want to see some competency after last year, first and foremost. Kevin E. Cheapest tickets on resale sites for Bama at $307. Woof. That is not cheap. $307. Kevin. Jeremiah Wilson has the best interviews I've ever seen. If you want to get excited about this year, watch his. By the way, Jeremiah is a really excitable kid. He just loves football. He's a film junkie. He's kind of like Jameis Winston was, who used to stay, according to Jimbo, like late at night, 9, 10 o'clock, he'd be talking to Jimbo. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. Luke, if Darryl really turns it up against Alabama and Ty Simpson is uncomfortable, that could be the difference for us. If you get an interior pass rush, absolutely. Interesting note. The center, Relaford, or so, I forget what the kid's name is. Can't remember, but he's really good. The center is probably an NFL guy. That will be as good a battle as there is in the game. The center for Bama against FSU's nose guard, Darryl Jackson Jr. Should be a really good battle. Galaxy King, Florida State fan base, high on the team. I like how you guys bounced back after last season's. Definitely respect. Let's see. South Texas dude. Do you think they will use Danza's speed to stretch the field or in gimmick plays? At points this year, yes. In game one, I don't know. Game one, that would be asking a lot. Danzy's one of the fastest players. Well, let me rephrase it. He's one of the fastest human beings on the planet, literally. He's got the 9th fastest 400-meter time on planet Earth right now. That's smoking. Like, he's sub 45 in the 400. Dude, that is flying. Let's see here. Rick Flair. What was your win total for Florida State? 8-4? Yep. I picked 8-4. Jacob Crum. Do you think we win 2 of the Big 4 games this year because of how difficult Tommy can be to handle when he is at his best? I don't know. This is how I look at it. I take it as 5 games, actually. So let me just be clear. I'll just go in order here. Got the Bama game. You've got the Miami game. You've got Clemson. You've got NC State and Florida. Out of those games, the most unlikely victory to me is Clemson because it's in Death Valley. That's a tough place to play. After that, it's kind of like, Florida, even though it's on the road, that game is at the end of the year. Florida could be 9-2 going into that game, or Florida could be 5-6. If they're 5-6, there's a good chance a lot of guys are quitting, and Florida State go win. If they're riding high and DJ's healthy, I like Florida. I wouldn't touch that game with a 10-foot pole. No idea what Billy Napier is going to do. So that game is really hard. Miami is always kind of iffy, but it's at Doak. I need to see whether or not Carson Beck can handle the pressure of getting hit again. I saw that. I know what it's like to have elbow injury. I've got a bone spur on my elbow from when I used to pitch. Like this, that's uncomfortable. I can't imagine having my elbow basically crushed. He plays Notre Dame first week, and he plays UF, I think it's 4th week. We're going to know if he's capable of handling Florida State's pass. Right, they're going to get after the quarterback. If he can't handle it, that game's a lot easier. I think the Florida State-Miami game, that might be the most likely of that group to win, except for NC State. Now, here's why I bring up NC State. It's the week before Florida. It's the end of the year. Long time between now and then. You don't know who's really going to play. We don't know what NC State's going to be. But FSU rarely plays well in Raleigh. I think they'll win at least one of the Miami and NC State games, but winning two, I don't like the chances against Clemson. Slightly less against Bama. Miami, decent shot. In Florida is the who knows because of Napier. Really, really tough situation to pick those games. Matthew Birchfield. I'd have to say breakout players. Thomas, I think TC's going to throw to tight ends a lot. I'm not disagreeing, Matthew. It's a quarterback's best friend, and veterans will check down and take the 5 to 7 yards. Dump off passes, tight end screens, basic little arrow routes over the middle to the running back, stuff like that. I think Tommy will take advantage of that quite a bit. Rick Flair, I think McCoy and Boggs will replace Squirrel. Squirrel allegedly just killed it in Jacksonville, for whatever that's worth. Not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent, but that's allegedly what happened. So we'll see. Let's see. All these FSU podcasts already calling for Mike to be fired is ridiculous. Well, Mike's not going to get fired because of his contract, so that doesn't matter. Matthew Birchfield, defense breakout, got to be Daryl Jackson at nose guard. Yeah, I think he's basically the leader of the defense, and he's the most talented guy. Kind of hard not to agree to that. Rick Flair, you can't fire coaches early because NIL and buyout, they have to be smart with their money. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Starting to turn into UF fans wanting every coach fired after a little bit of struggle. UF fans are really rough. There's no doubt about that. James Voss. Got to keep it close, Alabama. That would tell you a lot about the rest of the season. True. Hector. Sounds like last year, all the potential and 2 wins. I don't think this Florida State team's anything like last year. Kevin. When have you ever seen a true freshman get as much respect from veterans as Boggs is getting this year? Where there's smoke? That's a good point. I mean, I've seen it before, but it's been a while. And I'm not going to use the comparisons like that are in my head. There are a few guys that ended up being elite players, but it is a good sign. Florida State 24, Bama 13. That's from Bibby and his prediction. This is from Bibby. Miami 34, Florida State 17. I doubt that's the case. They're not going to win by 2 touchdowns or more than Doak. Let's see. Kevin, hard to recall a true freshman getting as much respect from veterans as Boggs. I think something is really there, and this guy can be special. You're probably right. Mm-hmm. So we beat the number 1 team, but lose to Miami? I have no idea. I don't know who number 1 is. It's not Bama. Let's see. I need to see us versus Notre Dame and Florida State versus Bama to determine. But, yeah, I like us right now by 2 touchdowns without knowing anything. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't think Florida State's beating Bama by 2 TEs. Cam Davis received a lot of love last year. Haven't heard as much about Cam this season. Zuppo the Goad. Miami plays Notre Dame, UF, Florida State in the first 5. Very tough, and Florida State and Florida are back-to-back games. That's a factor. Like, they're going to be more beat up. Notre Dame and Florida are a physical football team. That'll help. That'll help. Bibby, Bama ain't hard to beat. I disagree with that. FSU, oh yeah, whatever, buddy. Let's see. Sir, where did Boggs play in high school? Cocoa High School. That's one of the best programs in the state of Florida. It's on the Space Coast. Elite high school football program. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up here with that. Thank you to everybody that stopped in. Truly appreciate it. If you have not already, hit that like and subscribe. It's a lot of fun to be here talking football, talking Noles. We're just a couple weeks away from Florida State Seminoles getting into practice week for like the game. We're, 20 days away from the actual game itself. This is fun. It's fun to be talking FSU football and all the things that are going around college football. We'll see you again soon. If anybody has any questions or anything, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer anything. Just comment down below. I'm going to post this to YouTube for Monday morning, and I'll have a bunch of shows this week. So everybody check it out. We will see you again soon here on Locked on Seminoles.